How do we encourage young Christian men to be confident and brave when many times they are meek and backward in coming forward?
Well, meek's a good quality to have. I just want to say it's a beatitude, but I know what you mean. This is a really good question. So, I'll tell you two things that are a problem for young boys that I think parents need to address on the whole a lot better. One is that one of the sins of youth for young men is, I say, indolence, for those who know the meaning of that word, idleness. They can watch YouTube for 10 hours. They can play video games for 24 hours. They can lock themselves in their rooms with the door shut and do all sorts of things they shouldn't be doing. I don't understand why any parent would tolerate that, because it's destroying them. And they are wasting their time. And the only way a young man is ever going to be what he ought to be is if he learns to bring himself under discipline. And that is possibly one of the most important things. And this is something that bothers me all the time, is discipline, discipline, discipline. It's a Christian virtue that's long forgotten. And it is a virtue because we have sinful natures, and left to ourselves we go to rot. But actually we can bring our sinful natures under the control of what is good. And God can help us to do that. So for a young man, he first has to get his disciplines in order. And if he spends his time well, and he spends his time studying what he should study, and getting out there and doing the things he should do, then that's going to pay massive dividends when he gets a little bit older. That's the first thing to address. The second thing to address, if it can come to me in just a second, is, yes. One of the things, and this is something that Dad showed me very young, there's a few things actually that I learned from my dad. One was learn wisdom. With all thy getting, get wisdom, he used to say, which is a really important point. Wisdom is a Christian virtue, and I think men are, in their leadership role, in the family and whatnot, they need to be wise. Solomon knew he had to be wise in leadership. He prayed for it, and God gave it to him. So learn wisdom. But that wasn't the point. The point was, and it's gone from me again, gosh, this is important. Yes, they need to take responsibility. I think a lot of fellas are terrified of taking responsibility. And very often they fall into a trap of failure. So they will, I meet guys all the time, they started a uni degree, didn't get on with it, they quit. And then they might try and start another program or course and don't get on with it and don't finish. This is a toxic spiral. They've got to achieve. They've got to achieve. It is so important to the psychology of a young bloke that he achieves things. And if you're a parent, push him and keep pushing him. And he might spit at you in the eye, but you've got to do it for his own good. Push him and make him finish. And I'm so glad that I was pushed to do things, to take on responsibility. And young women who are concerned about young men, and a lot of young women are, and concerned about the availability of young men and the quality of young men. Okay, I'll tell you a little story. When I was 18 years old, right, and I was scared of my own shadow, a young woman came to me and said, I want to start a youth group in this church. And I said, well, good for you. And she'd had a lot of experience teaching kids. So I thought, well, she's the perfect person. And she said, no, I want you to lead it. And I thought, well, not so good. I said, my actual answer was, I don't know how to talk to kids. And she said, but you can learn. And she said, look, I know what to do. I've got it all sorted out. I understand how this works. I've got your back. It's going to be fine, but I want you to lead it. And she actually championed me into that role, and she had my back, and she backed me up. I just want to say, if it wasn't for that experience of my life, the 6 years in youth ministry, I would not be on this stage right now. Just think a little bit. Just think a little bit about what you can do to actually make the man the man. And yes, sometimes it means you've got to step into the background, which isn't very popular these days. But one of the greatest services, for men and women actually, I'm not here by design, it just happened. For men and women, one of the greatest services is to serve unseen and unnoticed, because God sees, and he particularly rewards that. So just that's a story that might help some.